Hello, Diana.
Hello, Samantha.
We're laughing because I told Diana she's never going to know quite how I start these podcasts. Keep it fresh, right?
And simple.
Yes.
Sure.
So, welcome to Kiss.
Keep it simple, sister. Look, you just messed me. Okay.
This is good. I like it. Anyway, y'all, welcome to the podcast. So I want to go over and remind you guys the whole reason why we're doing this. It's all about feeling great by feeling better. So it's these incremental steps that we take. It's these talk about like mindfulness, right? Just
Right.
those kind of steps that you take to create a life that you truly love, or at
Yes.
least that's habitable.
Yes. Okay. So, hi, Samantha.
Hi, Diana. How are you doing?
I'm fabulous. Would you like me to start with my flip side?
Please do.
Okay. Well, just a reminder, the flip side is kind of how you change perspective on something that might be a little bit challenging and try and find the goodness in it somehow.
Mhm.
So my flip side was all in one day, my microwave broke and I took my car to get inspected. And I was just thinking the other day, which you should never think like this, it's so great that there hasn't been an unexpected expense pop up lately. Wow, isn't that great? And then I should have just said, yeah, no, that okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So my microwave broke. I went to Home Depot. They told me that because it's in the wall, not over the stove,
Oh,
it's $2,000 to replace it. A microwave. I went in there thinking it was going to be 159, 179, at worst 259, whatever. And the man's like $2,000. I'm like, what in the world?
holy crap.
Okay, so there was that first. Then in Pennsylvania, because when we lived in Maryland, you do not have to have your car inspected yearly. In Pennsylvania, you have to have your car inspected yearly. So I went to the Toyota dealership to get my car inspected. And well, actually, there's several flip sides on this. So a very nice man at the Toyota place told me that not only had my registration expired, but my insurance card was out of date. So the flip side of that was I did not have to go to the DMV. In Maryland, you would have to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles, and all the mean people are there, and all the people are, it's just an ugly, ugly situation at the DMV in Maryland. In Pennsylvania, it's a very calm, people are smiling, they like you, they're happy to see you. So I thought I'd have to go there to get my registration, but the guy was like, "Oh no. I said, I know our insurance is paid up. I just have to get it online."
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, all you have to do is email that to me. I'll print it out for you. You can keep it in your car." And I was like, "Oh, that's really nice of you." And I said, "Where do I have to go to get this registration thing done?" And he said, "You can do it right online, PennDOT, whatever." I sat there for 10 minutes and handled the whole situation. Very exciting. And made a new friend. His name is Willie.
Okay,
I
that's
really like
good use of technology there.
Yes, totally. Now, it probably took me like an hour longer to do it than it would have you, but I was able to do it. So I was kind of proud of myself. So I thought that the flip side was something, but that was my original flip side. I'm all about in my flip sides lately customer service. Like this man was so nice and so helpful. And I thought he was going to say, "You don't have this and this. You're going to have to come back tomorrow or the next day or whatever."
Yeah.
No, I could handle it right then and there. So I paid him with a Celsius. I don't know if you know about Celsius, but Celsius is a new kind of like energy drink that Annie taught me about. It's got some caffeine and stuff in it, and it's delicious. And so because when I was there, it's kind of like Red Bull, but not as harsh, I think. I don't know. I've never done Red Bull, and I know that all that is not good for you. But anyway, I tried to use my card. Here's a tech thing too. I tried to use my card on the machine to get myself a Celsius and also a snack pack because I didn't have anything to eat. Well, somehow I ended up with 2 Celsiuses and 2 snack packs. So I gave my new friend Willie a Celsius because if I drank 2 Celsiuses, I would have been bouncing off the walls. And Willie agreed with me. So that was a night. So I tried to spread a little kindness as well as be appreciative of the customer service. So
Mm.
there's that. And then I found out for the microwave that you really can get a countertop microwave and put it in where the thing is, which the Home Depot man did not tell me about. He
Oh,
just made a face when he saw $2,000 and he was like, "You're not gonna be happy about this." Um,
wow.
so my neighbor across the street, same thing happened. You can order one online. You just pop the thing off and you put it in and you plug it in and you pop the thing back on. It's going to cost $500, not $2,000.
Yeah, that's much more reasonable.
Yes. And I'm going to save the other part of that for our next week's flip side. It's a continuation of inspection.
Okay, fair enough.
So here's to you and your
Okay,
flip side.
so my flip side. Just know, as I knew the flip side was coming to me, I felt my insides turning a little bit, but that's okay because I can do this. All right.
Yes, you can. You can do it.
So just so everyone knows, not everything works beautifully and perfect. You've heard me on my flip sides talking about how things have, over the summertime, things had slowed down in my particular field of spiritual and metaphysical work and so forth. And so we had another thing occur. I think I had mentioned about my cat Echo passing, and she was an old kitty, and we knew that was going to happen.
Uh-huh.
But then our other kitty, female kitty, who's 2 years younger, all of a sudden went on the decline. And her name was Isis. And I just said was, so you guys know where we're going with this. So anyway, she is my daughter's cat, and she's this beautiful, beautiful kitty cat, torty, long hair, torty, purry, fluffy, kind of squirrely kitty cat. So anyway,
And you may have seen her cross your path while we've been doing the podcast, possibly, because she's the one that comes
maybe,
to visit you in the office.
yeah, and I don't have a
No,
picture.
I have, but I don't know if we did. But anyway,
Yes. So,
pretty kitty.
I am doing this super fast in honor of my daughter. Um, but this, whoop, can you guys see? That's Isis.
Pull it backwards toward you because it's a little blurry. That's better, I think. Yeah.
Isis. Okay.
Beautiful kitty.
So my daughter loves Isis, and that was her kitty that then became my kitty when she moved out and then had a boyfriend who is allergic to cats. So we did not like each other in the beginning. It was a very contentious relationship. I couldn't even figure out how to pet her right. So anyway, we bonded over the years and became very close, and she became my office mate, basically, my home office mate. And so anyway, she's on the decline, and my daughter is bereft. I mean, just beside herself. And I was so impressed because she came over after work every day and spent time with her. And, we could see she wasn't eating. She was, like, we kept hoping that something would shift, but it wasn't. Well, we saw where this was going, and the tears and the, just all of that was so intense. Well, that's, that's kind of the
Uh,
downside of things.
yeah.
However, the flip side, because there always is a flip side. So one night my daughter and I are in here, and I said, I should probably fix us some dinner. And she said, well, I think Brody's fixing us something. And I said, okay, I'll go out and see what he's doing. And I go out, well, he was making a huge batch of spaghetti. And he,
And Brody is your son, who's
yes,
younger than
Brody's my son.
Tessa is your daughter.
Yeah. So Tessa's 30, what, 32? And Brody is 23. That's so
Okay.
funny. I was
Yes,
saying that.
that sounds right. And
Yeah,
you definitely don't look old enough to have a 32-year-old daughter. You look good. Go ahead.
thank you. I was 12. I shouldn't say that. That sounds really bad.
That's
Um,
not, yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, so I go out there, and first thing I notice, because we've got like a mirror that reflects so you can see what somebody's doing in the kitchen. And in the mirror, I can see these candles. So he's got candles lit. He's got
Aw.
Italian music playing, and he's in a whirlwind. Like, he is chopping up garlic and roasting it. Like, he is going all out on this. And I go in there and I'm like, I am so impressed. And I get so caught up in it. I pour a glass of wine, I'm talking to him, I'm enjoying the music. And, it's opera, and then it switches to another kind of Italian music. And my daughter, like, I forget all about her. She finally comes in and she's like, "Oh, Brody, this is so nice." And she's just like, "Oh my goodness." Well, then this kind of oompah kind of music starts playing. It's Italian, but it's got a, it's Mediterranean.
Uh-huh.
And I just kind of start going, being goofy mom or whatever. And I start doing this, and my daughter starts, mirroring me. And so we're both doing this. Brody's looking around going, "What is going on here?" And then it really starts ramping up. And so I go out and I dance around, and my daughter grabs my arm and we start dancing in the kitchen. And we are like laughing, like hysterically. There are tears coming out of our eyes. Brody stops cooking and he joins in. And I'm sitting there
Just
with
came
my
out of the kitchen to dance.
no,
That's
we're all in the kitchen dancing. We are like, it is
well,
crazy.
he stepped away from the garlic, I guess. That's
He stepped back from the garlic, and just lost himself in the fun. And the three of us like just did this whole, like, it was very intricate. I was really impressed. Tessa's like, people would think that we knew what the hell we're doing. We're just, we just kind of like kept doing it. We'd switch off partners, we'd dance around, we'd go under, hands and stuff. And then the song ended and we just cracked up. And it was like, amidst all of that, and understand, as I'm telling everyone this, like, my stomach is clenched. It is very intense to talk about this, but how many people get that opportunity in their life where you're going through something that's tragic, and there are your two adult kids and they're there with you, and we're all caring for one another, and just, I mean, oh my God, that memory, I told them I will live off of that memory
yeah.
forever. That was just so wonderful.
Well, and also how wonderful that all of you were able to be in the moment with that right then and there. Because so many times we get so overwhelmed with the
Yeah.
challenge and the sadness and the stress and whatever. A lot of times the flip side will come with take a moment, take a breath,
Yep.
think about what's happening right now, not what you're worried about in the future, not what happened in the past, what's happening right now. How can I focus on what's right now?
Well, like in what you did, Diana, I love that because you said, here you're dealing with stuff that, it's like rah, rah, rah kind of stuff. Like, who wants to, have their day broken up and suddenly have to deal with all this? But all of a sudden you're like, I can spread kindness, because that's kind of what you needed. And yet
Yes.
you were filling yourself up by doing that for other people. And
And
that's,
I don't really think about that, but that really does kind of change my day a lot of times.
Mhm.
And it's something that you have to kind of focus on. It's coming naturally to me at this point because I've done it for so long.
Yes.
But if you make a point of who can I make smile today?
Hmm.
Who can I make their life a little bit better? That'll make me feel better too.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
a ripple effect. So hopefully Willie went home and he was, drank his Celsius and he was nice to his wife and got some of the
Pumped up.
honeydew list done and whatever. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
All
Okay,
right,
guys.
let's go to the positive
Yep.
path.
Okay, so on the positive path today, we're going to talk about true or false, truth or fiction? No, true or false.
True or
And
false?
yeah, and
Not truth or dare.
yeah.
False.
And so every once in a while, I talk to Diana, like we have these conversations all the time. And I talked to Diana saying, I know in some of these podcast episodes, I want to be able to share with y'all what I've learned, what I do with life coaching, what it is that I give to my clients and so forth. And so she graciously agreed because it's stuff that she and I talk about all the time anyway. But when we talk about true or false, one of the things that I do with my clients is I always teach them how to have discernment for themselves, how to tell what's the truth, what's really happening in front of them, and what's false. I feel like there's
I'm
something you
glad
want.
that you and I'm glad, no, I'm just saying I'm glad that you're defining discernment because there's that SAT word again. And it's not in your world, it's used a lot, like it's thrown around like confetti. In most people's worlds, we don't talk about discernment, but discernment is the truth, really, right? The telling the
What's right
difference
for you.
between Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and discernment, what's right for me and my discernment is going to be different than yours, because there is no truth with a capital T.
Uh-huh.
There's my truth, your truth, and and somewhere we all, that's why we need to have the flexibility, because somewhere we all meet in the middle. But we all have a different perspective on reality. And
Okay.
so,
And did we talk about you're not wrong? I don't know if we've spoken about that
no,
yet,
we haven't.
but that really kind of ties right into this.
Hmm.
So the one thing that I learned from Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, Law of Attraction, is the phrase "you're not wrong." And what I latched onto was that, wow, that can stop an argument in its tracks. Like if you're having a disagreement with somebody
Hmm.
and your response is, "You're not wrong." Now, in your head, you're thinking, "I know I'm right." But in your head, you think you're right. So I'm going to say you're not wrong.
Hmm.
So you think you're right. I know I'm right. No need to argue anymore. No need to disagree on it because it's your perspective.
Yep. And you're honoring their perspective,
Right.
or releasing from the need. So that's the problem. It's releasing from the need for you to be, that you have to be the only right person in the room.
Right.
Yeah. I think
Which,
we
as a teacher, that's very difficult because we are always right.
Hmm.
Uh, but everybody, some other people might not think that like we do. So that's the whole perspective thing. That's my capital T truth.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to delve into this a little bit more when I talk about teaching this to my clients. Um, the process I generally go through is, I ask them to just sit there, close their eyes. Do you want me to do this with you? Like go
Yes.
through
Okay.
this? Okay.
Yes, I'll
So,
do it.
and everyone who's watching, you guys can do it. So close your eyes and just relax. And what you're going to be focusing on is where where the energy is in your body. And when I say where the energy is, where you tighten up, where you contract, and where you release. So when you feel a contraction, that is negative, that's falsehood. And where you release, where you feel more expansive, that is truth. That is what feels real and right and is positive and good for you.
Okay.
So keeping that in mind with your eyes closed, I want you just to say, you can say it out loud or you can say it in your mind, but I want you to say your name. Just say your name.
Diana.
Okay. And it may not feel like much because you're used to saying, hey, this is my name, and feeling right about it. So generally that feeling should be occurring anywhere from your chest up. And just, but again, it
Okay,
might
so
be
I
light.
felt it right here along my jawline.
That's like you're loved. Okay. So that's me self-interpreting. Anyway. Um, so now I want you to come up with, or no, I want you to say your name is Rumpelstiltskin.
My name is Rumpelstiltskin.
And so where do you feel the energy move in your body?
More like it's not a specific place, but it almost like moved down into my stomach.
Hmm. So, and it's fun when I do this with clients, being okay. So I'm an intuitive, I'm an empath, and so I feel other people's emotions selectively. I can block it off,
Uh-huh.
which is really important if you're an empath, and that might be a whole other one that we talk
Yes,
about
write that
because
down because I think that's a really good one. Because I think so many people may not be an empath to your level, but have aspects of empathy
oh no, they
that
can be crazy,
whack them
like
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
way beyond me, but they've never worked with it and understand how to contain and block other emotions and stuff. So like, and for me, like I don't have to close my eyes. I do this so many times that I can just say it, and I just feel the energy go whoa.
That's exactly how I felt it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So so that's kind of a fun thing to do, but now let's put it in practical application. So like with my clients, I will start with something like that. And if they're not quite sure, because some people just aren't as aware of the energy in their body, I might have them think about, okay, let's go to the happiest memory you can think of. Just tell me what that is. And they'll say something about their child,
Disney World.
whatever. Yeah,
Disney
Disney World,
World.
my happy place. And so
Anybody who knows me knows that's my happy place.
And so, yes, true. So we get you to focus in. You don't have to close your eyes for this. I'm just saying, I'll get them to focus in on that thought so that it really like builds up and they feel the energy build up and they're really cognizant of it. And then I'll have them think of one of those worst moments, an argument, like a real drag out argument with, family member, just something that ticked them off or whatever, just so they really feel that bottled up tightness. And I hate doing that to them, but I want them to feel that energy.
Well,
So
and the
then,
same thing, so I did it as you said that. The same thing happened
uh-huh.
to me. Like the lightness came up this way for the joy and the best, and the tightness went down here and
Yeah. And it works so well. So, and the reason why I'm teaching people this is because I want to empower them. I want them to understand they don't have to come to me for the small stuff, that they can kind of feel it out. Come to me for the bigger stuff, come to me to teach you how to do more of these kinds of awareness techniques and stuff.
yeah,
So anyway, we'll take, because maybe they're saying, I don't know whether it's time for me to leave this relationship. Okay, that is a lot to unpack. Um,
right.
but the way that I'll work with them is say something like, okay, like let's just sit in the moment. Where is the energy of how you feel in this moment? And like they'll feel it, of course, in their gut. And then
Mhm.
I'll say, okay, at this moment in time, if you could suddenly leave, what would that feel like? And they can feel the expansion. And then I'm like, okay, a lot of times we just feel that because we want to get out of the moment. We just want the pain to stop, right? So then I get them to really think about everything that they've been going through in their relationship, and like, understand there's a lot of other therapy that goes along with this,
Yeah.
because
This
we
is not
gotta.
a one shot 5-minute deal for
Yeah,
sure.
because we got to unpack a lot of things going on in the relationship and, things like that. But this is just kind of for the bigger picture. So then I'll take them like, okay, 3 months down the road, you've decided you're going to stay, and you're going to, he's agreed to go to therapy, you're going to therapy, how's that going to feel? And, I let them kind of feel it out and I say, okay, 6 months down the road, same marriage, it's maybe it's working, maybe it's not, it really doesn't matter. Things are still, because nothing ever really changes big. It does in the beginning and then it
Small
kind of
thing.
goes back. So, but it's not usually as bad. And so, or it can be worse, but I get them to project out and see how they feel. And so when people get out to a year or 3 years and they start going, I'm still in the same situation 3 years out, that starts to feel uncomfortable. And then I'll also spin it the other way where now you've left and it's, 3 months, it's a year and you're on your own. It may be a little tougher, it may be this, that, or the other. You may be missing some family things, but how do you feel? And that helps them to really get in touch with, the degree of, is it ready for me to go or not to go? So that's kind of like a deeper, like I just jumped into the deep end with that one.
Yeah. Well, what I was gonna share is that back in the day, and I don't even know where I learned this, I would always do a pro con list. So when I was trying to make, especially big decisions, but even
Yeah.
small decisions, the pros would be the good part of it, the cons would be the bad part of it.
Hmm.
But what you're doing is emotionally, how do you feel that? Not intellectually, not left brain, not okay, these are the facts. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
You're more into these are the feelings. How do I feel about that? And I kind of think, I mean, I've never been through this with you, this
Process.
therapy or process with you,
Yeah.
but that whole situation that you just talked about, you're going to break it down into bits and pieces, not the whole enchilada,
Yeah. Because
chalupa,
too many people
whatever.
will take their pain point right now and just say, I need it to be resolved,
Right.
you know, and a lot of times it comes down to explaining that people generally don't suddenly change. So if you're going to stick with it, it might just, if it's going to be anything, it'll be a gradual change. It'll be a sudden change to keep you staying in the marriage. And then either they will continue, like it'll kind of go back, but they'll continue to learn or they won't.
Well, and going back to the flip side, it's perception. So, your expectations may be one thing, and you might be able to adjust those expectations if you listen to yourself, listen to your body. What do you really
Yes.
need? What do you really want? What's a hard stop for you?
Hmm. Well, and that's a lot of what, what we'll get into kind of thing, because um, if I can shift someone's perspective and create a little bit of release, like recognizing that you want everything to be the way you want it to be. And that's, yeah, not reality. That everyone has a right to be how they want to present themselves. So you have to understand, well, why is this triggering me? Why does this bother me? And release from it and honor the other. When you can move into that grace of honoring the other person, um, then you can make that decision in a much more healthy way. And you're just using the feelings as a guideline. I mean, it helps to do the pros and cons, because the
Uh-huh.
pros and cons can help you do that visualization of so many months out. And even with that pros and cons list, you can focus in on each of those emotions. So that was the
Right.
other aspect of this, is that you don't have to use it for a big, hairy ball of twine. You can use it for very simple things. Um, okay, let me go on the real simple side of it. And this is
Okay,
always
good.
a fun
Because
one
we
to
went on the
tell.
real hairy one for a
Yeah.
second.
So on the lighter side, say you're going to the store. We've all had that moment where maybe we have a cold going on, or we're not feeling quite right, and we go to the drugstore, and we're in front of like the cold and allergy and all that kind of aisle, and we're inundated by so many different products. It's just overwhelming.
Yeah, I just took a deep breath because I know it's overwhelming.
Um, so you can just pick something up and hold it. And I'm going to tell another process with this too, but just feeling it, you can hold it and just go, is this what my body most needs? And you'll feel it go, like, I know I don't need anything right now. And so my stomach just clenched. Like I was just imagining having something in my body, and it's just like, nope, you don't need anything.
Right,
um and so like you could do that at home before you even go to the store. Do I need medicine? Do I need something to assist my body? It's not, do I need it, does my body need it? Because if you
right.
say you need it, you never need it, but your body does. um that's a whole other thing. So when you're holding it, you sit there and you just you think about it, you just feel out, is it clenched? Is it elevating? When it elevates, that's truth. That's positive. That means go for it. So you can just try a couple of different products and just say, is this one that has, this component? Because how like some will help
You might
with,
have a cough or not have a cough or yeah.
yeah, or they handle it a different way. They'll have a different kind of medicine in it to do the same thing. And
Yes,
so, allergy medicines do that. There's like what, 3 or 4 different ones.
right.
Yeah. So it's that sort of a thing.
Yeah, so that's exciting to
You sound
think about.
excited. You look excited. You're going like,
Well, no,
"Oh."
no, no. I was I was thinking about the weekend wanderlust that we'll probably get into for Friday, and I was trying to think of an example that would be good. So we'll give a few examples when we get to the weekend wanderlust, I
Well,
think.
okay, so going back into okay, so that's using energy. And another way you can use the energy that's similar to that, it's just a little bit more involved, is that you can stand up. This is like being a pendulum, a human pendulum.
Hmm.
So you can stand up, and you want to check and see what your yes is and what your no is. So you stand there and you can either say your name and a false name, or you can just say, show me yes. And your body generally will fall forward. I've had it reverse on me sometimes, but
For me, that's the way it works. It falls forward or it falls back, and it doesn't fall forward like you're going to fall down. It's just a little bit of
nudge.
a nudge one way or the
Yep.
other.
Yep. So you don't need to go, yeah.
Yeah.
And then show me no. And usually you go back a little bit. I actually get maybes, and it'll be like,
Uh,
maybe yes, maybe no. Like, well, this could work, but there's probably something better. So
uh-huh.
I like that I'm paying attention to those degrees, and it's always off to the left side of my body. It never does, like,
And then do you modify kind of what you say or what you think? to make it a little more specific so it gets to a yes or a
Well,
no?
that's the thing when you're doing like the human pendulum kind of thing and asking for yeses and nos, it's a game of 20 questions. I mean, and it's just because you're like, okay, do I really say you just can't make up your mind whether you want to go to a party? We've had those
Good
moments where it's
one.
like, yeah, you're going, I really don't want
Which
to get
is
dressed and I don't,
never a yes to me
yeah.
mostly, but
Well,
back in the day, yes.
and
Now I'd rather
sometimes,
sit on my couch mostly.
but those, yeah, women of a certain age, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the thing is that maybe you're getting a nudge not to go, but you're not quite sure. It's like, why don't I feel like going? Normally I would like to go and do this. And so you
Yeah,
can sit there and go, is there some reason why it's better for me to stay home? And you'll get a yes or a no. And you can start narrowing it down by some of the questions that you ask, because it could be that your body recognizes you need to slow down, that it's
yeah.
trying to tell you and you're not listening. So it could be used for a number of different things.
And this all kind of interweaves with intuition. Like so many of us that were not against woo woo, but not in the spiritual realm, really,
Mhm,
realizing that your inner being, yourself, your God, the universe is speaking to you, and you need to tune in and kind of listen to it. And so this is more of and for me, it was empirical. So it was like facts. It was like science. It was like whatever. If my body went forward or backwards, I was like, okay, that's the proof.
yep.
Okay.
Because remember, she's the science teacher.
Well, and it's taken a long time for me to wrap my brain around some of these concepts. Some of them come to me like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And some things I need to have the proof. I need to read it. I need to see it in a book. I need to see it on a movie. I need to have a
Mhm,
little more explanation and ask 50 questions, all of that.
yep, yep, makes sense. Yeah, it's fun when we talk about this stuff because so, Diana with her more organized science, mindedness, even though she's kind of done all of this stuff naturally, you have your whole life. Um, so you've come to it differently, whereas I've been more trained for all of this. I mean, I think
Right.
it was all natural, but I picked up so much stuff along the way. But when we have these conversations, it's so much fun because you're able to go back to that. Well, I need proof and I need this where I can go more on faith for myself. But when I'm working with clients, there has to be that. I was just describing this to a client the other day, is that it's either I have had to experience it by speaking to higher source or speaking to someone who's crossed over, or it's information that has been received from numerous sources. So it's kind of like these lines crossing each other, and then somewhere in the middle, okay, people who wouldn't know each other otherwise agree on this concept. So this must have some basis of truth, which is kind of how science works, right? I mean, that's where you
Right. Exactly.
so
Exactly.
yeah, so
Well, and there's so many concepts that we don't know until we don't know them. So, I mean, if you look
yep.
historically back at all of the inventions, all of the technology, all of that,
Mhm.
people in 1900s had no idea what a computer could do, or before we had the internet, we had no idea what the internet could do. So, there's all of that too.
There's all of
There's
that
all of
stuff.
that too.
So we want to keep these short for you guys because we know that your time is precious.
Yeah.
And we could literally, and we do, we can go on for 3 hours. Granted, we will catch one thing that sounds interesting, then we jump into the next thing and then into the next thing. But literally, we could keep going because we have so much fun with these conversations, which is why it's fun sharing it with y'all.
Yes.
Um, Before we go, we have to do
Oh,
the
my little bag of Sweary affirmations. We need to swear and affirm.
affirmations. Yes. So we never know what's going to be on these cards. So hopefully,
Right. I'm gonna tell
if
you
you're our
when it's not
people,
right.
if you're our people, you do not get offended.
Yes, please. And
But
then la 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 if you don't want to hear the curses. But
okay,
there's gonna be it because it's sweary.
it's
Stop.
one. Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
Oh,
They're always perfect. And I don't know how the universe brings it to us, but I'm sure it's perfect.
I am my own best friend. Other people are total dicks.
That's perfect. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
But that doesn't count for you and me at all, usually, ever.
No.
But you're
So
not wrong.
you
Not,
guys,
not wrong.
we love these sweary affirmations, and they're going to make really good Christmas gifts.
Yeah, for
We will
sure.
put these in our store, which should be launching over the weekend into next week. I've been working really hard on it. And that's where
Well,
any of the
this is going
things,
to come out later, though, so it probably already launched.
true.
Correct?
So find this stuff in our store.
Yes.
And our store is filled with all of the stuff that we talk about during the podcast, and things that we've used that we love and swear by, and so we're recommending to you all.
Yes.
And if you go and you find stuff that's interesting, if you are willing to purchase it through us, then that helps cover the time that we put into doing all of this kind of stuff, or goes to it towards it at least, right?
Yes, and if you have an idea of something, I was thinking about this the other day. If you have something that you love, we would love for you to send us a message and we'll check it out. And if it's something we love too, then we may be able to include it in our store.
Yep. And as our following grows, we're going to start. I haven't told Diana this. We're going
Okay,
to
but I'm going to say yes. You know, I always do.
we're going to start doing like giveaways, and one could be a reading, one could be tarot
Ooh.
reading or something. Anyway, some could be big, some could be smaller. So we're going to ask y'all to start commenting in, down below in our videos. And like, when we're asking you this stuff, what do you want to hear about? Tell us, because those people who comment down below and actually have a conversation with us, so we know that you're out there, because we know people are listening, but we want to have conversations. We want this to
Well,
be
and the
an
funny
intimate
thing is,
process.
I'm getting like texts and phone calls from people who did not comment on the YouTube, on YouTube or on our Facebook group, but they
Yeah,
love what they're hearing and seeing, and it's so fun and they're
that's so
excited.
nice. But
I know.
comment, because it helps us when you
Exactly.
comment and
And
subscribe.
when
And
we when we decide to do these giveaways, we'll go back through all of the comments everywhere and put people's names in. So if you did it, so this is the math part of me saying that if you put, 5 comments, you're going to have 5 more chances to be chosen for a giveaway.
listen to, like, do you see how we do things on the fly?
I
So,
had thought about that too and hadn't talked to you about it. So there we go.
yep. Oh, and one last reminder, just remember, when you go to our website, we also, we put blog posts up there that have to do with the topics that we talked about, so that if you're more of a reader than a listener, it's not our transcript. It's just like a more organized and concise, going over kind of the concepts, or related to the concepts. And so, and the weekend
Jeeves helps
wanderlust.
us give you more. Jeeves helps us give you more information.
Yes, Jeeves, our AI buddy friend who helps us come up with this stuff.
Yeah.
And also we have a resources blog. Well, in the blog, there's resource posts that anything that we've talked about in the session, it's going to be on there. So there's so many different ways to find the information you're looking for, is what I'm saying.
Well, and if you grab a hold of something that you love and you're like, wow, I need to know more before they talk about it. Well, first of all, you can send us questions and we'll talk about it on another podcast. But sometimes you want to go down the rabbit hole of true or not true, false.
True or false? True or false?
Okay, so it's time to wrap it up.
Yep, we're wrapping it up, folks. So you guys, until next time.
See you next time. Bye.